Hey guys, my name is Zach, or NanoReefer11, depending on if you are on the Mast forums. So the purpose of this video is to document some of the issues with a couple corals that I'm having. So if you look on the left side, you'll see two Duncans, one right there and one towards the back. And also, I'm having issues with my toadstool and these green zoas and these blue zoas right here. So, let's start with the Duncans. So I recently added about 9 gallons of water to my system when I added a skimmer and a sump and all that stuff in the cabinet of the aquarium. Upon adding it the next day, I noticed that the water was a bit cloudy, and I thought it was just because of the filter sock. Maybe I didn't rinse it correctly, something like that. You know, the water cleared up eventually, and these guys just haven't really been opening ever since. If you look at the one towards the back, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in real quick. You'll see that it is excreting like a yellow, mucusy pollen type stuff. And you'll see on this head right here on the bottom, there is some slight tissue recession. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. You'll see the tissue and the hard skeleton right there. So with that being said, you know, I've added carbon to the system. I still need to test my nitrates and nitrites and everything like that. But I do think it was an issue with my salinity. I think I mixed the water overly salty. I'm using just a cheap floating hydrometer, and I think it finally caught up with me. So that's that coral right there. This one down here doesn't look as bad. Sorry about that. This one down here doesn't look as bad. It is starting to somewhat open. But still it hasn't opened fully in about 3 or 4 days. So I am somewhat concerned. I see no real tissue recession on this one. However, it does excrete the same yellow polleny substance that the bigger one is excreting. So after adding the filter sock and everything, this coral is completely closed up, this colony of zoas right here. It's since opened up and it's doing pretty well. Same with this frog spawn over here. The day after I added the filter sock, it was closed, and it stayed closed for 2 days. It's opened back up real nicely, so hopefully, you know, the other corals follow suit. These green zoas over here, I have a video of them the day before I added the filter sock, and you know, these are starting to open up again, but they still don't look 100%. They look more like 80% to me. And so hopefully they're on the way back up. This frag of blue zoas right here, they look 20% right now. It's really unfortunate. They were definitely growing well in my tank, and they were really, really pretty. So if those do go, I'll be pretty upset. But they are somewhat opening. You can kind of see right there how, you know, they're kind of opening. You know, I don't know what else to do other than add carbon and test my levels. So I'll be doing that soon. So far I have one pretty confirmed death of a coral, and it's going to be this SPS frag right here. You can see it's starting to bleach out. I don't know if it's just the levels in my tank of calcium are pretty low, something like that. But all that should be tested here pretty soon. These zoas right here, these green ones, they were completely closed up following the filter sock change, and now they're opening up quite nicely, closer to 90%. The last coral in my tank that I am somewhat worried about is this frag of red zoas. I have one polyp that's dying right there. The rest of them seem to be doing fine. I'm not, you know, too concerned about this coral, but you know, it is something I'd like to take note of in this video for future reference, that coral isn't doing so well. The day following the filter sock addition and the addition of the saltwater, the anemone was closed for 2 days. So I was worried about that. However, as you can see, it's opening quite nicely. The clownfish are still doing okay. My Monica frag back there looks pretty alright. I don't really know what to look for in these corals, in the Monica, but from what I can tell, it still has lots of color in it, and it seems to be doing alright. There is some slight whitening of the edges. However, I think that was the new growth from the previous tank coloring in, so I'm not, you know, terribly concerned about that. I'm going to go ahead and move you around to the toadstool frag. It's the last coral that I'm, you know, somewhat concerned about. it does this thing where about once a month or once every other month, it'll kind of look like this for a day or two and then slosh off some of its old skin, and then it'll look probably about 15% bigger than it was, and it'll look real nice and pretty. So I'm just hoping it's going through one of those phases. I have another SPS frag right here. It's doing quite well, and I just accidentally hit my bird's nest with the cleaner magnet before this video, and so the polyps retracted. The feather duster over here hasn't been really opening as well as I'd like it to, so I am going to test some of my levels for nitrates and nitrites and all that other stuff. I don't believe I have any in the system, but I've read that could cause them to not open. Also, another thing that could be causing this thing to not open as much is that there is a small pistol shrimp somewhere in this vicinity digging up sand and disturbing it, so that's definitely something I'm considering that could be the cause of this coral doing this. So, you know, all in all, it is opening, and you know, it's definitely looking like it is getting better from the day after I added the filter sock. So that's it with all the corals in my tank that I'm having somewhat of an issue with. You can see the zoas right here also haven't opened. There's only 3 polyps that are extended on those, and you know, those haven't been doing too well. They started out doing really great, and then I moved them to more light, and because they're being shaded by this mushroom right here, and they didn't seem to enjoy it. So, you know, slowly I'll start to move them back and see if they start opening again. I have a frag right here of people eaters that got stung pretty bad by the anemone, and almost all the polyps died. However, they are starting to come back, and they seem to have been enjoying this new addition of salt water quite well. They were actually the first coral. The next day a lot of them were closed up, but this one was open during that episode, and you know, it seems to be enjoying the new tank parameters. Real quick, I'm just going to go down into my sump so you can see what I'm working with there. Let me zoom out, obviously. So this is the sump from a Solana 67. Let me make the tripod go down so you can see what's going on in there. Sorry about that. Okay, so now that the tripod is down, so I just have your, you know, the Solana overflow thing where the water goes in through there, overflows over a filter sock, and then exits this thing into a small pile of live rock. I mean, it was dead when I got it, so I guess dry rock. I mainly just have it in there to eliminate some of the splashing noise from the water, and also I do have someone that is a friend of mine starting up a reef tank, so I thought I'd cook some dry rock in a sump for him. Over here I have a gravity-fed auto top-off. Soon that bucket will be used with a like a mechanical auto top-off. That'll be in the future. Running a Hydor L30 return pump does this job pretty well. It's pretty quiet. Most of the noise from this aquarium now is just that small bit of water dripping, and it does slow down as the filter sock kind of, I guess, it breaks in. So here's my skimmer. It's an SC Aquariums 150, rated for 150 gallons. You can see some nice green skimmate. It's still breaking in. It's not 100%, but it is getting there. It's been running for about, I would say, like 30 hours, and it's starting to get a pretty nice foam head on there. The skimmer is just, I mean, it's the first real skimmer I've had, but I have played around with other people's skimmers when I've been helping them do tank maintenance, and this thing is just awesome. It's a Bubble Magus clone. The pump inside of it is an Ataman, I believe it's 2500, and this thing is awesome. I paid 115 ship for it, and I could definitely not be happier with the quality of skimmer, the speed of shipping, and the quality of the seller. Every question I've had, he's gotten back to me within a few hours. I ordered this skimmer at 4 o'clock, and by 5:05 I had a tracking number, and it was dropped off at the FedEx location, so definitely awesome, an awesome seller. Yeah, I definitely got a really awesome skimmer for a cheap price. I believe it's a Bubble Magus knockoff, and it's been doing pretty well. So that's pretty much it for the purpose of this video. Next video I will show you guys some of the new equipment I got. I recently purchased a Reef Keeper Lite, and it should be here sometime next week, along with a Vortec, which will be here in a couple weeks. Had an issue with the seller, but he gave me a small refund in exchange for, I guess, my patience. So that's pretty much it, guys. Just showing you guys the sump, and hopefully some of these corals up here will start making a comeback. So thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate all the help, and goodbye.